Welcome to Dr. Red Says. Our show is all about taking charge of your mental, physical, and spiritual health. We'll answer your questions about the various healing modalities, and most of all, we're going to have some fun. Now, here's your host, Dr. Red.
Good afternoon, America. I hope you're having a good afternoon. I know America is. How about all of our friends overseas? You know what? The problem is right now, doesn't matter what country you live in, somebody's going to give you a bad time about coronavirus, socializing, whatever. It's a very stressful time. So this show today is all about not stressing out. And as you know, my wonderful partner and engineer and advisor, Al Horn, who is a psychologist, his motto is less stress, more success. It's true. The trick is, how do you get there? So I have a wonderful self-help book that was sent to me. I love it. And you guys are going to go, oh, guys, another self-help book. Here's the thing about self-help books. It's kind of like giving 10 blind guys a paintbrush and telling them to paint the wall. Now, some parts of the wall may not have anything because nobody's ever gone there. Some parts of the wall may have way too much paint and it's streaking all over because everybody went to the same spot at pretty much the same time. And then there are some places that are perfect because no one has gone there to blaze that trail, and they got it right. So you can afford to just say to all self-help books, you're not the same. We should look into you. Let's see what you got. There's always something new and something exciting in a self-help book, and I know because I've probably read 1 million of them. This one it's a keeper. And the neat thing about our wonderful shrinking world is you can probably get her on Amazon. But if not, I will ask when we get on there. You can get it. I like paperback better. I like to actually see the words and feel them with my fingers. I'm very kinesthetic. So I'm going to toss this to Dr. Al, my wonderful introduction person.
Hey, Dr. Red. Well, our guest today is Jean Walters. Now, Jean is based in St. Louis, Missouri. She's a transformational coach, Akashic record reader, author, and speaker, and she studied and practiced the principles of metaphysics and spirituality for 40 years.
Wow.
And she uses these principles in every area of her life. She's an avid writer, a dancer, and she discovered the inner light when she was a child and realized that it's love and her true self, and that everyone has the same light. It's her path to learn how to live in that light. She assists people to release anxiety and worry, discover their right career, feel empowered, and find the answers they need in life. Also meditation, understanding dreams, and intuition. So she helps people work through issues and become empowered. They release anxiety. And they can form a different perspective as to what is important. Her transformational coaching, her teaching of metaphysics and spirituality, and her great new book. So, Dr. Red, here is Jean Walters, and we welcome her to the show.
Thank
you, Al. That was lovely.
He's much better at that than I am now. The book, this particular book, she's written so many, I want them all. But this one is Anxiety to Peace. And people read her right now because, yeah, we all have the same light, but a lot of us, our bulb has burned out. So she has exercises in here. So we found out how you got to it, but how did you get to making a living from that? Because a long time ago, if you said anything like that, they would go, woo-hoo.
I think it's important that people know that there is nothing more practical than spirituality. There's nothing more practical than really understanding our connection to the universe. And when we do that, we empower ourselves. And when we empower ourselves, we really do take charge of our health and well-being. And you are the one that's in charge of your health and well-being. So, we can dump that on somebody else, but it's not going to work out very well. And this book is just my way of helping people develop some practical techniques so that they can be healthy, be happy, be free, and live a wonderful life.
Sounds good to me. Now, I'm going to do a little tool that I use. We're going to talk about all of the wonderful tools that are in this book. I have a tool, and the same thing. In the old days, if you picked up a tarot card or a crystal card or whatever you wanted to call it, you were a witch, and witch was not good in those days. There are good witches. So I have this deck of cards, and it has a crystal on one side, which is very healing, and it has an angel on the other side who tells you the wisdom. And so that's one of my tools, and I pick one for every show. But the guests are so interesting that if I don't do it now, we'll forget to do it. So this one is brought to you by the Blue Lace Agate. It's a beautiful, beautiful stone. And it says, do you feel like you keep missing opportunities? Do you wish you could recognize opportunities when they knock? Have faith that divine timing is at play in your life. Oh boy, is it, because we've got Jean here.
Yeah.
Believe that you are always in the right place at the right time with the right people. And your affirmations, and don't forget this is taped so you can play them back. The angel of divine timing says, favorable opportunities present themselves to me in many ways. I recognize these opportunities and I follow through on their promise. I always seem to be in the right place at the right time. I enjoy the benefits of divine timing. And her book is exactly everything they're telling you. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So give us some tools real quick to release stress, and then what else we can do next to make it stick.
Well, the first thing, I mean, when you read that card, the whole thing is about intuition, because you picked that card intuitively, and the message on that card is really about paying attention to your intuitive mind that's speaking to you all the time, and listen to what the possibilities are at any given moment. But in order to do that, Dr. Red, we really have to get quiet. And we live in a very busy, noisy world, and if we don't take the time to really nurture our quietness, our intuitive mind, it makes our life very difficult because we sort of miss out on those opportunities. So the first thing I would say is learn to give yourself nurturing time. Set some time aside every single day. I mean, without fail, to just be quiet. Let it be 10 minutes to start with, but then let it go to 20 at some point. But learn how to listen to your inner voice, because when those potentials show up, you want to be able to go, yes, that's it. I'm going to go for it. And I hear so many people tell me, like, oh, I had an intuition about that, but I ignored it. I go, oh, no. That kind of scares me, you know.
Yeah, they always say that. Well, even if you're following it, you go home and tell your family, and they go, what are you, nuts?
Well, that's because they're not used to listening to their intuition. We've been so indoctrinated in the West to look for PhDs and, every kind of initial behind your name. And then we say, if that person has a lot of initials, then they're really smart. But we don't know that as fact. And so sometimes I think we're judging from the wrong basis. I always ask, well, it says that even in the Bible it says something like, pay attention to what people do rather than what they say.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm mimicking the words here, but I think that's a really good way to recognize genius is, Einstein looked a little bit crazy, I thought, but at the same time, he was operating from a whole different level of understanding. And so maybe we all come across a little bit crazy, but maybe the world's crazy right now. And I think that when we're listening to our intuitive voice, we're actually hearing something that's very, very grounding.
This is why this book right now is in the right time at the right place, because I like the paper. You sit in a chair, you can put on some nice music, let the cat sit on your lap, and just zone into this book, and she will teach you how to stay zoned in, because it's really hard. I can't stay still. I have the attention span of a gnat on crack. I can't stay still. It's hard.
Okay.
But you have the tools for that.
Yes, and I think you're not unusual in that. I mean, there's a lot of people that have a hard time sitting still because we've been programmed with this idea that you must be busy, you must be productive, and we've judged productivity as all the things you do in the outer world. Did you do the dishes? Did you get the paper written? Did you make the phone call? And then we overlook inner productivity. Inner productivity is how connected are you to your greater self? How connected are you to the part of you that really understands what this whole trip is about? And so we might accomplish a lot of things. Our house is clean, our work is done, but then we're frenzied and we're upset and, we take things personally. And we do a lot of things that are completely agitating to our system, to our mental, emotional, and spiritual system.
And right now, this thing about taking things personally, because I'm a Jew, I'm used to taking things personally and having a lot of guilt. But you mentioned that those are projections from the other person.
Yes.
What is the other person saying to you? Are they really blaming you? You have to take it personally.
Yeah. Well, the thing about it is that we look at every person and realize they've all been indoctrinated with pretty much the same stuff. And so we have a concept of what perfect is, for instance, what the perfect body is and what the perfect education is and so forth. But those are just concepts, and, I used Einstein a second ago. I can imagine that, well, first of all, he didn't even talk for quite a long time before he even talked in his life, 5 or 7 years it was.
Wow.
And he was considered pretty stupid, But that was by the worldview, but they didn't know the inner workings of Einstein. And I'm using his as an example because I think we don't know the inner workings of anybody. So when we make a judgment, like, well, you didn't make an A in that class, so that means something or other, all we're doing is, or you're a Jew, or you're a Baptist, or you're a Middle Easterner, or whatever it is, we make some judgments that are based on very small, limited facts that actually have no meaning whatsoever, And so when people, make a judgment about you, first of all, they don't know you, but secondly, that judgment's coming out of what they've been indoctrinated with.
Thank
it
you.
actually has no meaning. It has no meaning at all. It has no meaning. And so we know
people get offended so easily right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's,
well, we really want to understand this. This is a big deal, taking things personally, because when we understand that whatever that person is saying to you that seems rude or just wrong, it's because they're just telling you what their inner world is all about. You see it in traffic a lot where people are mad at the drivers and all that. You don't know if they aren't running to an emergency. You don't know what's going on in their world. And so we make judgments and we make them wrong. And then what we're doing is it's upsetting ourselves because they're not feeling anything.
Right now in America, I want to find a way to airdrop your book to all of those rioters because they're going, my skin is darker than yours. So I'm a victim, so I have to burn down your store. Read the book.
Yeah. Well, it's unfortunate because as soon as they do that, they're limiting their own self.
Well,
when they present themselves as a color or as a particular race or whenever they start defining themselves in that outer form, they're limiting themselves because when we understand who we truly are, we're much bigger than all of that.
Oh, yeah.
That's just a very small definition,
and think about
it's a shame.
Things they could be doing. They could be doing something better than burning down their own shops.
Oh my goodness! I think it's so interesting this time period we're in because there's so many things that have needed correction, and we're at a time period when we're really adjusting. It's a time period where we're adjusting from a very masculine energy to a very feminine kind of calmer energy, but in the middle of it all, while we're in this adjustment period, it's total chaos because we don't know whether we're to go forward or to sit still or what we're doing.
I watch a lot of politics and stuff, and I go hyper analysis. You know what? I don't watch those channels. You're a lot calmer when you don't listen to that stuff. He has a point, really, because we don't think about it. But when we're not burning down houses and stuff, we're playing violent video games. Or watching this stuff on the news. This is not good.
No, and I really think one of the client called me. I hadn't seen her for a while, and she said she was in such a panic mode. And I said, turn off your television and don't watch it until you come in to talk to me. And even in those couple days between that phone call and her coming in, she had changed, and she was calmer even in those 2 days. But she was recognizing that she was taking on all the energy of who's wrong and who's right and what's wrong with the world and what's the tragic thing that's going on right now and where's the drama. And so when we allow ourselves to be placed in a situation where we are inundated with that stuff, you better believe you're going to be anxious. You're probably going to be panicked.
People don't believe that, but seriously, when I haven't done metaphysics as long as you, but when I started doing that, I used to watch all the hory-gories on the Sci-Fi Channel, and I watched murder mysteries that were pretty darn rough. Now when they come on, there's one show I've never even turned on. It's Special Victims Unit because it's about violence to women. I just don't watch them anymore. If a commercial comes on, I have to turn away. So I feel the vibes, but I'm not sure everybody else realizes that stuff that's coming through your set is falling on you.
That's right. But I think it's beautiful that you're saying that because people don't realize it. I'm very careful about what I choose to watch on TV because of exactly what you just said, that we are responsible for our own state of consciousness. And we if we're digging all the drama, around all the good guy, even if the good guys win and there's drama and shooting and carrying on and fighting, you're still taking in the whole crux of that, that situation. So we're responsible.
Do you get heckled for watching the Hallmark Channel?
Sometimes I do. I mean, if you want something sweet and they're going to all end up happy and everything, it's a great channel to watch.
Yeah, I watch the Hallmark Channel, and my daughter's here, and she's in her 40s. My other one is in his 50s now. And they go, "Oh, Mom, that's the first sign of senility. You're watching the Hallmark Channel." Thanks
and
a
you
lot.
go, yes, ma'am, that's it. You got it.
If there's sex, they just tell you they don't do it. If there's violence, they just say, "Gee, that was unfortunate." And they don't use the F word every 30 seconds. Jeez.
Oh, my gosh. I always think, can you just broaden your language a little bit?
I watched something the other day, and they said that word so many times that there was more bleep than dialogue.
Don't you think it's a mark of a really bad writer?
Yeah.
I mean, if that's all they've got, and then I hear it with comedians too, and I go, that's not funny. I don't think that's funny at all. And so I don't know what planet they're living on.
The jokes are usually funny, but the color is not. You don't have to get that nasty.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
I would be a comedian, but they'd probably say, you belong in the 50s. I liked the 50s. So maybe that's because I'm going to ask you practical steps to feel better. And in the 50s, if you watch TV, the lady was very nice and loving and gave her kids Jell-O when they came home from school, and the father was all sweet when he came home, and they could play out in the neighborhood without a gun. So how do you get yourself back into the Leave It to Beaver state of mind?
Well, the thing about it is, I have to tell you this, that I think there was some damage done with that too, because people, I'll tell you why, because people oftentimes will measure their family based on Leave It to Beaver or Father Knows Best or the Waltons or something, and most families are not like that. And I'm not putting down families. I just want people to understand that was a rendition. It was lovely. It was sweet. But we also have to live in this world where maybe Dad doesn't come home till 6 or 8 o'clock at night, and Mom might be working too and stressed out. They didn't have that on those shows. Mom was home all day with her pearl necklace, and her high heel. So yeah, right. And I haven't had a pair of high heels on, and I can't tell you when, which I don't miss at all. But I do think, I think we want to appreciate the family we're in, meaning that there's good points and maybe negative points, but we want to understand that everything isn't all rosy all the time, but we want to learn how to understand that and live with it and be okay with it and not hold grudges and not judge and, let go of a lot of the things that create stress. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's really, really hard. The whole country now, they went bonkers when Mr. Kavanaugh wanted to become a Supreme Court justice, and he finally made it, but there was so much nastiness slung around that everyone I knew had been glued to the hearings, watching them slander and defile each other for days.
Yeah.
So everybody
Yeah.
was in a bad mood, and it was only about one person.
Yeah. And so we allow someone to run us. We give dominion over ourselves to the Senate or the Congress or the TV station or the producers or whoever it is. We're turning over our well-being to people who don't have an interest in our well-being. They just want to sell a product,
Right?
Or an idea.
Yeah.
And so that's, again, we're responsible. We have to take control of that and realize where we put our attention is what's going to outplay in our life. So if we're spending some time walking in the garden each day for a half an hour, we have a better chance at having a peaceful, joyful life than if we're watching somebody being beat up on television for that time.
That's true. But now, how do you convince someone? I mean, I love who I'm with, and we've been together 56 years, but he instantly goes to, I'm an idiot, I did something wrong, I'm stupid, I can't. He expects to have a bad night every time he lays down to go to sleep. How do you get them to turn around?
Well, first of all, you have to find out if they want to. I mean, desire is sort of like the key point here. But, another thing you might suggest, there's another way to look at that.
Yeah.
And then you can offer another way. If you see another way to look at it, because I think people are incredibly hard on themselves.
Oh, yeah.
And for no real good reason, I mean, the expectations. And I'm not sure. I mean, I think a lot of it starts in childhood where they expect every kid to be exactly the same, and they're not. I have one grandson, for instance, who taught himself how to read when he was 2. Well, obviously.
I've got one like that. She's got her own iPad. She's 3 years old.
Yeah, and it would be terrible to compare every kid with that, because he has other issues that are much more difficult than reading for him. But we come in with a set of learning tools that we already have, and then we come in with, I think, a lot of challenges at the same time, and they're both important. They're both important.
I think part of it is, at least with my husband, who's career military, and both Al and I came from military families. I asked once, "How do you like this?" And he said, "If I was supposed to have an opinion, I would have been issued one." there seriously are people that say, "I don't know. I wasn't really told how to think about that." Gee, that's terrible.
Oh, so in other words, I have to read the book to find out where I stand on that, because I can't possibly come up with it on my own. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, but then get him to read the book. I said, look, this is wonderful. This will release you. It's perfect. And he goes, I don't have time to read. My boss is mad at me. I'm going, if you read the book, you could free up more time, and then you and your boss would not be mad. One time I just said, just throw beams of love at her and see what happens. And he thinks it's crazy.
Well, so this is not a person that wants to research and come up with their own conclusion. Is that right?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Military. If the commands come down, you do them, and you either do them good or you do them bad. And blah, blah, blah. I mean, the guy wore a uniform for like 30 years, and then he found some shirts he liked in Bangkok about 20 years ago. He liked those shirts so much, we had to find a tailor to make more of them because they don't exist anymore.
So this is a very regimented person.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and so that's what I mean. When you observe that in a person, that they're very regimented, that they're really not allowed to come up with their own ideas about anything, then you recognize that's what they are, and you don't. I mean, I feel like a lot of peace comes from just recognizing who people choose to be. Even someone very arrogant, if you recognize they're being arrogant, it's their choice, they get the consequence of that. There'll be a lot of people that don't want to talk to them because they're arrogant.
You know what? That probably will help you with your less stress. If somebody acts nasty to you, that's their drama, not yours.
That's their issue, yeah. And I think the thing is, we don't want to turn over our state of consciousness or our mindset to someone who is nasty to us, and now we have to be in a bad mood for that. That's paying too much. And I think that you're giving them the power. And I personally like having my own power. Don't you?
Yeah. Well, that leads into the next question, because we're going to talk about intuition. Now, I just happen to be a psychic and a medium, and I love the Akashic Records. I wish you could do a reading for me. But the thing is, when I do, just something pops up. I say, your grandfather is standing behind you, and he's saying such and such. And they go, what? And so they go, okay, so you're a psychic, and the Long Island medium is a psychic, but we can't do that. Yes, you can.
Yes, yes.
You can at least develop your intuition. People think that some people have it and some people don't.
Well, if you look at a child or even a baby, when an angry energy walks in,
oh yeah,
they're gonna cringe, and they might even cry. So that proves right off the bat that we have that intuitive energy all the time, and children don't know how to not pay attention to it. So they'll notice if something is, dramatic or nasty or something, and then they'll just cringe and cry. So that's exactly what we're talking about. We're not talking about anything more mysterious than that. They know because they feel the energy, and that's all psychic is they feel the energy.
And some of them, when you talk about imaginary friends, I don't know if they're imaginary friends exactly, or if they're contacting someone and just enjoying the contact.
Right.
But we can all do that if we wanted to.
Yes. Oh, I think especially when the children, when they're very young, they're so open. Their mind is so open until it's been closed down. around these judgments and so forth, what you're supposed to be thinking, what you're supposed to be doing, and so a lot of what this book is about is really learning how to go within and trust your own self, but also pay attention to your rhythm, pay attention to what feels right and what doesn't, because if we do that, we will catch ourselves in the midst of turning ourselves into stressed out beings. Like I use my mother as an example in the book because she was just very stressed out all the time.
That's my mother.
It really did. Yeah, you probably had the same mom.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it hurt her. It hurt her health. It really hurt her health. But also being around her, you would start feeling stressed too.
Oh, you were scared witless around my mother. You didn't know what to say or do, and you couldn't walk in certain rooms because they were clean. Ah.
Oh, goodness.
It was scary. Yeah, you didn't dare go in the living room. That's for entertaining.
Oh, you might have messed it up or something?
Yeah, you'd make a mark on the carpet.
Oh, my goodness. But so I think that when you're raised with that energy, that was definitely my motivating force, was observing my mom, and because she was trying to pass that on to us all the time, worry about this. One of her big ones was worrying about what the neighbors thought, and I always thought that was a silly thing, because why would the neighbors be thinking about us? I mean, certainly they had lives, But anyway, so one of the things I told her pretty early on is, Mom, I really could care less what the neighbors think. And I kind of feel sorry for them. If they don't have anything better to think about than us, then I think they must really need a hobby or something. But anyway, that was really a motivating force for me to figure this out, because I wanted to come up with a better way to live. I could see that she was really harming herself by her constant anxiety. And I think that there's a lot of people right now that are doing that very same thing. They're imagining things that are never going to happen, You
kind of have a nice balance here, because you're saying that, yes, we are responsible for a lot of what goes on in our own bodies, but you're not saying things like, I had a brain tumor, and somebody said, well, what did you do to cause that? And I'm going, excuse me? They go so far the other way that, everything's metaphysical, and if you broke a bone, you caused that. And I'm going, wait a minute, that was osteoporosis. Give me a break. So sometimes you have to give yourself a little slack. You do the best you can with the knowledge you have. After I broke my hip, I found out how to build bones. So that was actually, you sitting here, what's my lesson? What's my lesson? When you break a bone, how do you prevent that next time? There's a lesson in there.
Well, and if you want to get, certainly, and if you want to get metaphysical about it, then you might say, I need to strengthen my structure. My own structure as far as what I believe, what I'm willing to live, and so forth. But the point of metaphysics is not to judge yourself. I mean, if I break a bone, it doesn't mean I'm a bad person. It doesn't mean I did something wrong. It might mean that, I might need to look at the situation a little bit differently. I mean, it could be that simple. I think that people get judgmental about, well, you're sick, you did something wrong. Like, no, that's not the way you go about this.
Right.
That's not going to help.
See, I think that's what's keeping a lot of people from, I'm not saying converting to our way of thinking, but people think that if you are metaphysical and you think you're responsible for your own body, then you're too woo-woo and I don't want to listen to you. And I don't know if that's true or not in the big realm. Nobody knows but the man upstairs. I do know that I should have died from a brain tumor when I was 40, and I'm still here. So
yeah,
changing your life to meet the consequences of the last thing that happened is a good thing.
Yeah. Well, also, talking about a brain tumor, anything with the brain, the brain is like the computer of the body. So you might go, is there a program in this computer that I need to extract? Is there a computer in my personal computer brain? Is there something that I need to let go of? And it could be as simple as judging yourself or being hard on yourself.
What's interesting about that is, like, way back in the 50s, I think Maxwell Maltz and a couple other guys wrote these books about cyber stuff. And they said,
I loved them.
Your body's a computer. And I said,
mm-hmm.
Wow, cool. People realize this thought has been around a long time. We're not doing anything super ancient, but we're not doing anything new either. We're just adjusting.
Well, also Maxwell Maltz was a plastic surgeon, and he talked about people. He would do plastic surgery work on people. He would help them, change their configuration of their face or something. And the thing he would say is that a lot of times they had this work done because they didn't feel good about themselves. They didn't feel they were beautiful, and then when they did the works, they still felt this exactly the same way. It didn't change one thing about the way they felt about themselves. And that's what got him started. He started looking at, well, what's the key here? Because it certainly wasn't me fixing their nose or their forehead or whatever, because the same thing continued on. So I loved Maxwell Maltz because he said
great.
Something that changed my life. He said, the mind does not know the difference between a real and an imagined experience.
Oh, wow.
And that changed my life because I realized that you can create what you want because the mind does not know the difference between a real and an imagined experience. You can imagine an experience and make it real. And that's basically what everybody does, whether they know it or not.
When you're telling people to listen to their intuition, they don't realize that I have some really wonderful dreams in color, and they're terrific. So if you see a dream that shows you flying, maybe that's your intuition saying, get off the ground, do something. You can fly, metaphorically.
And flying in a dream is like how freedom is about freedom. You feel so free, right? You're unbounded.
Yes. And then they go back to work and grumble. Remember the dream.
And well, the next book I'm coming out with, interestingly enough, is called The Magic and Mystery of Dreams, the ultimate handbook on how to interpret your day and night dreams and the symbols in your life.
Oh, cool. I want that one.
Yeah, that one will be coming out in November, and I'll let you know, okay?
Fantastic. It's a good time for Thanksgiving and Christmas gifts. But the interesting thing about dreams is like Clark says he doesn't dream, and we've had him on some aromatherapy and different stuff. He's starting to remember that he's dreaming. He doesn't know what it was, but at least, I think all of his years in the military, I don't dream. Now he's going, well, maybe I am. He hasn't figured out what they are yet. But once you get somebody to just little by little accept these things, he lets me put essential oils on him. He lets me do Reiki on him. And now he's actually realizing, you dream. So
yes, dreams are so important.
Just get somebody to move just an inch. And then they'll go, I like this. And then go another inch. Oh, I like that. So that's why I like the book. You're not forcing anything on anybody. You're just telling them some
No. It's real, but it is really helping people if they want to look at their situation a little bit. Like, for instance, the stories we tell ourselves. Most of us were raised with a story. Like you were even mentioned about being Jewish, and there's certain stories that go with that, and oftentimes, they can be negative or they can be positive. But when we continue to live in a story that doesn't match what we want to be, If we're living in a story that says I'm inadequate, or I don't learn quickly, or I'm really clumsy. When we're living in a story like that, then we're letting it affect our performance or our experience of life. And when it gets right down to it, it's just a story. I had a friend whose teacher told her that she was no good at math. She'll never be any good at math. And I said to her, well, I don't really understand what you're saying, because you're doing the calculations with your husband's business. You're doing all the work with your business, and we had a business. I said, and you're doing all of that financial work, and it's very good. And so now, but where does it fit in that you are not good at math? And I'm not getting it. And she had to stop and go, whoa, wait a minute.
because she didn't like trigonometry. But that's like if you go to a dress store, you might like the blue dress but not the green one. It doesn't mean that you don't like dresses.
Or it doesn't mean that you don't like green. You're just not in that dress, Yeah.
And ask Al. I tell him, don't even ask me to make change for a quarter, because I can't. Yes, I can. I just don't want to mess with that.
Yeah.
So
and also it may not be your thing,
No.
Now, but the point of it is, we want to look at the story that we've been telling ourselves and decide if we want to continue with that story. Because does it add to you, or does it take away from you? Is it truth, or is it something that you just invented or someone handed you and you're carrying it around with you like it's the truth?
This is true. These stories, I loved your stories, especially the DJ, because I was a technical person. I was supposed to be a medical doctor, and that didn't work, so I became a doctor of hypnotherapy and medical education. I have 2 doctorates. I didn't really like doing that, but it made my parents happy. And I like to talk, obviously. So you can never be on the air. Well, here I am. It was a weird story to get there. So that story about the DJ was wonderful. You have great stories, and that's what we need. If you can bring something closer to your own life, you go, well, he did it. I did it.
Yeah, and also it's true. And most of the stories in this book are people I know. I know personally that many of them are those that I've helped them work through some of these blocks. And it is a block. I mean, any way that we're keeping ourselves from expressing in ways that we really want. I mean, I knew a gal who was a top IT specialist. I mean, she was very highly paid and all that, but she told me, she said, it's killing me. It's just, I don't like doing it. It's like killing my spirit. And what she finally did was she quit that job, and she started delivering pizzas at night to pay, so she'd have money for bills.
I love that.
And then she became an artist, and she's won awards and prizes, and she's done so many amazing things as an artist.
If you don't
but her spirit was an artist.
Crazy. See,
I'm sorry.
The world would say you're crazy. Don't do that. You're crazy. And I know when I was teaching, I had students that I'd say, okay, why are you, it was medical technology and stuff. So why are you in this class? And they said, because my counselor said it makes a lot of money. Oh my God, what a reason to take it.
Well, and then that's almost like a sign that you're going to really end up with some health problems, because if money is your whole reason for doing something and there's nothing else there that pays you, then you're in the wrong field. You're sending yourself off into an energy that is really going to be harmful to you ultimately.
Seriously. And I have a friend that Al found this lady. She's wonderful, and her name is Anushka Alborzian. And she had the same brain tumor that I did. Hers was a bit bigger than mine. But when she went in for treatment at the hospital she went to, they said, we see an awful lot of IT people. And cotton picking, she was a software engineer. She was a software engineer. Now she's a metaphysical instructor, and she's wonderful. And she's
How about that?
Yes.
How about that? That's really beautiful. But see, those are the kind of people that say, the best thing that ever happened to me was being sick, or the best thing that ever happened to me was the brain tumor, because they woke up.
Absolutely. Well, that's what I think. God always hits me in the head when I'm going somewhere wrong. I get headaches, I get a brain tumor, I get this. So I just go, okay, where am I wrong? But I do want to bring in Al for a couple of reasons. One, he has to do a little business. about the show and the website. But also, the neat thing about Al, he owns his own business and has had multiple businesses, and that's very stressful. And I mean, he calls his home Rancho Relaxo. He is the most cool dude I have ever met. And I'm going, how do you do that? So I'm going to ask him a little bit of our show business, and then I'm going to ask him, Al, how do you do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. So what's going on with the show?
Well, as always, I want to invite our listeners to visit the website, DrSarahMYoung.com. And, of course, there'll be information there about Jean and how to get in touch with Jean in case you don't get that during the show or you don't write it down. It'll be there at the website. So I want to invite people to do that and to give us feedback and to let us know what it is about the show they like or what they think they would like to see or hear on the show, obviously. So they can do that, and I'll even have a link there. They can get a preview of Jean's new book, a couple of chapters there for them to read, and then possibly go on Amazon or wherever she would like to send them to purchase the book. And then, of course, our shows, many, over 150 past shows are archived there at the website. But you want to go to drredsays.com for the newest shows. And when you go there, you'll hear the podcasts and the shows there. So I think that's about it. We've got some great guests coming up in the future. I won't tell you about them right now, but you can always go to the website, and we welcome feedback and we welcome our listeners to connect with us.
It sounds good. Now, there's one thing that we haven't gotten completed yet, and that is, because I know Jean likes doing things with humor, and you can tell we do too, we have our contest for the best punchline to a coronavirus goes into a bar. And I'm waiting for somebody to send me a terrific punchline, and you can do it on our website.
Okay.
If you do, you win a Dr. Red wig. I've only awarded them a couple of times. But then you look just like me.
Well, I was listening to Jerry Seinfeld the other day, and he said that coronavirus is like everybody getting a timeout. The whole world. I liked that a lot. I liked the way he compared it. That was really good. We were talking about tools that people might have.
Yeah. Before we go back, let me ask Al, what are you doing? Because you already do something.
Oh, yes.
So mellow. What are you doing?
Well, we talk a lot, Sarah, and we've known each other for 25 plus years.
Yeah.
First of all, I think it's mindset. You have to have the right kind of mindset. If you can definitely get yourself what I call wrapped around the axle, you can get yourself completely stressed out by not being aware of your state of mind. Of course, I do not I don't watch TV. I don't listen to the news very much. I get enough of it on the internet because obviously I am on the internet quite a bit, both in terms of helping my clients and also in terms of just seeing what's going on. But I don't dwell on it, and I keep it to an absolute minimum. So that's number two. And I think another thing that helps me personally is I feel like I'm prepared. When you feel like you're prepared,
wow,
and you have a clear vision for what you want to do, there's a lot less stress involved. Now, believe me, there's still stress. I have stressful things that come into my life, but I look at it when they do happen or I see them coming. I look at it as a challenge and as a way to develop in terms of personal growth or to develop skills or just, for that matter, just to learn and experience. And that helps, and that's what I do. And I've seen. I haven't read Jean's book, but I did see a glimpse of it on Amazon. They let you take a peek, and I liked it. And I liked what Jean had to say, and that's why I thought she would be a great guest. And Because, you know, in my opinion, there's many people out there that purport to have some kind of an answer or some kind of a solution, or they're going to do this and they're going to do that. And in my opinion, a lot of it is people just trying to work through their own stuff. They're trying to work through their own stuff, and but I think, well, Jean's been at it for quite a long time now, and I think she's got some experience. My feeling is that she's got some experience, some real experience, as opposed to just theory, and that's what I really like about what Jean does.
The interesting thing is, I think you are an example of Jean's book. I mean, in probably 30 years, I have never seen Al angry. If he doesn't show it to anybody outside. I've never seen that. And no matter how bad I feel in our weekly call, by the time I'm done, I say thank you for the therapy session, because he's always so light and happy and gives such...
it's called focus, I bet. Wouldn't you say, Al? Would you say focus?
I think that is important. Yes, I work to stay focused, and I don't have a lot distracting me. I don't have, you know, I don't know how some people do it, honestly, with the family situation and kids and you know, whoever they're in relationship. I just stay focused on what it is that I like to do and what I want to do, and if it isn't fun, or it isn't something that I feel I'm learning from, I do everything I can to just not make it part of my life. That's
you know what, Al, that is
focused.
so my philosophy to a T. Is my philosophy.
You could paste him in your books. I mean, I've never seen such a cool person. And you know, for me, I came from all of the negative stereotypes that you can possibly say. A Jewish family, a military family, an officer's family. It was so tense. Seriously, my life was just one giant ball of stress. And you did have to get all A's. It didn't matter. If you didn't get an A, what's wrong with you? Oh, my God. Life is not like that.
But that's when you pull away and you decide that you know, people are choosing to live in that way, and that's not really going to be a style that's going to work for you, and you start figuring out the style that is going to work for you. Like Al was saying, I do the things that are enjoyable, that I feel I can grow from, and that's a different way to make a decision than just like, you're supposed to do this and you have to do that, and I'm going to measure you if you don't do this. Because, you know, that's the way many people live their life, and it's really, really taxing.
Yeah, what I'm hearing is you don't have the right to make that choice. If you don't want to go to something, don't go. But no, you don't have. You must go. You must make an appearance. You must look like this. No, you don't have to. It's your life.
And even if you're young and you have to go, you decide what kind of a focus you're going to have at that. I mean, sometimes you can go to something and just observe and learn a lot by observing what's going on in the people around you, but you find a way to look at it in a way so that you can have some enjoyment out of it, or you can be learning something from it.
That's cool. I love to people watch. Even if I go to something I really don't want to go to, I love to watch the people and see their reactions, and you know, it's fun. Yes.
So, I was going to mention another. I loved what you said, Al, though. I mean, I think that everything you said we're sort of mirroring each other really well.
Yes.
But one of the things I thought might be helpful is to learn how to let yourself be bigger than the problem. And I wanted to mention that because that might be a nice tool for people to walk away with, you know.
That's
and
great.
When I said that, it's like each one of us has an issue, like maybe there's not enough money to pay the rent this month or something like that, or something going on. And what we want to do is when we're at the level of the problem, it's hard to see any way out. But if we let ourselves be like 10 feet tall, or we let ourselves sit at the top of the mountain and look down at the problem, we can begin to open up to different possibilities of dealing with it. And I give some examples in there, but the point I want to make is that, you know, we have the ability to move our mind where we want it to be. And if we're sitting at the top of the mountain looking down and seeing the issue, the problem, the struggle, the challenge, we have the ability to see much more possibilities and ways to manage it, to deal with it. And we start there. Because for every issue that's going on, there's a way to resolve it.
Yeah,
every issue.
That's the thing.
Every issue.
People are so stuck in the tree in front of them, so they can't get out of the forest. If you rise above that, you are going to see a path. There's more than one path. And we don't think about that. We think, I have to do this, I have to do this. Get up there, observe, and find a path of least resistance for you, not for everybody, but for you, and take it.
Yes.
It's that simple.
And to your point earlier, if people want to say, well, that's crazy, then that's okay. Because you're still following the path that's correct for you. And there's a lot of people that do not have vision, cannot possibly recognize it. I mean, I'm sure that everyone thought Einstein was pretty crazy at many points of his life, but it didn't stop him. He just kept going.
Well,
and we have all this wonderful philosophy as a result, and
the best blessing, and
great
I know
science.
Einstein did have some humor in him. The best blessing is humor. I just tell people, well, you know what? I had brain surgery, so I can forget your name. I can forget what you do. I can insult you because it's brain damage. So let it go. And they have no defense to that. It's like, okay, let it be. Everyone should have some way to make
just let it be.
Yes, let her be.
Yeah.
We don't do
Or
that.
you can just decide that it's okay for me to not remember your name. I do that often. People come up to me and I'll go, you know what? I do not remember your name. I remember your face, but tell me your name again.
Exactly.
And it's okay.
We remember faces like crazy, but the names, no.
Mhm. And it's okay because you meet a lot of people. You're not going to remember everybody's name.
That's true. I did meet someone once. I mean, there are these one of a kind people. I had spoken at some event like 10 years before, and the guy even told me what dress I was wearing, and I went, oh my God.
Oh, wow. I'm impressed.
I can't remember my phone number half the time. That's what I love Siri. She swears when I do texts. She swears a lot, and I have to put a disclaimer on everything. But I love her because I don't have to remember much. At least not stuff that's not important. The thing that I think people get caught up in is you only have so much brain, at least in your conscious brain. You have more in your unconscious. But you only have so much room. So forget the stuff that's not important. Who cares? Siri can do it, or your kid can tell you where you left your keys. It doesn't matter. What matters is what's important to you and your soul.
That's right. Yeah. And you're good point, though, that we make things more important than they need to be.
Oh, yeah.
And when we can go, wait a minute, we can even ask ourselves, wait a minute, am I making this too important right now? Then stop. But sometimes you have to ask the question, what am I doing right now? Is this really as important as I make it? When we can catch ourselves in that process, we can change it.
And the other thing is how much you think you're needed, because you say, if I don't go, things will get messed up. No, if you don't go, they'll figure out a way to do it without you. It's not that big a deal, unless you're the President of the United States, I guess. But usually you can miss something and it won't kill anybody.
Well, even if you're president, you have a staff.
That's
that's the point of having a staff. Like, I think one of the great talents for people, and I bet Al knows this, is to delegate.
That's because Al is not a perfectionist. We perfectionists have a really hard time letting go of something. You're not doing it the way I would have done it. Who cares?
Yeah.
They're doing it.
Well, maybe perfectionism is the first thing you want to dump.
I would like to do that.
Yeah.
It's still there.
Because it serves no real purpose. All it does, the only purpose it serves is to beat yourself up. Because you're never going to be whatever your concept of perfect is.
It's good. And I think Al, he loved his mother so much, and I know he's listening, so I'm not telling tales out of school, but he would do something, and his mother would say, well, that's not the way I would do it. And she was sick, and he was so loving and kind and did the stuff. You have to sometimes do this balance. When I broke my hip, I couldn't walk, so everybody was doing stuff for me. It wasn't the way I wanted, but they took the time out to come see me, to do stuff for me, and they threw a lot of love on me. That's wonderful. You have to just change.
Oh, you kidding? That's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. You let your gratitude be bigger than the thought that it wasn't done right.
Yes, you have to do that.
Yes.
Nobody,
and you were less stressed because of that too, right? Because
yeah, well,
your stress level went down.
There's still a little bit. I tell people, if you walk in my house, we're one acquisition away from hoarders, but it's pretty scary because we're both busy, and I'm sick and my husband's sick, and so we haven't exactly done a lot of housekeeping, but we've done the things that are important to us. So if you're worried about it,
right,
don't come here.
Exactly. Yeah, because you have your priorities set, and they're putting your health first.
It's funny too because you have to see the humor in this stuff, and I really am. But we have a pile of clothes. Clark does the laundry for me right now because I can't go in the garage, and he puts them in a pile in our bedroom. And the cat thinks that's like Queen of the Mountain, so she climbs up on the clothes and then sleeps there. That's her favorite sleeping spot. We made a bed for the cat.
How sweet that is. That's sweet. I mean,
there's always another way to look at everything, and you just have to find that and do it.
What I wanted to do, though, if people are interested in learning a little bit more, if they want to take my email address, Jean@spiritualtransformation.com, I will, if they respond to this, I will send them 3 chapters to the book.
Oh, cool. Now, it's G-E-A-N.
No, it's J-E-A-N.
Oh, I'm sorry, J-E-A-N. I'm okay.
J-E-A-N, yeah, at Spiritual Transformation, it's a singular.com.
Cool.
And then I will, when I get that, I will forward. They could mention the book or something, and then I will definitely send them off a PDF of 3 chapters.
And I think Al's got your address because we've been going back and forth. So we will put that on there, and I will put you on my Dr. Red Says Facebook page. We need to have some positive stuff on Facebook right now. Everybody, it's bad enough they're arguing in person. They're doing bad stuff on the internet. My daughter just got thrown off for a month because she forwarded a picture that somebody else sent, and it wasn't nasty. It was just political. Boom. You can't go back on Facebook. They're getting so mean. It's nice to have, something nice on your page.
Yes. I also I post on my Facebook page a spiritual transformation moment. And so then I'll just, something, for 3 to 5 minutes that just something uplifting for people. I think this last one was about non-judgment.
Oh,
and,
good.
So
what's your Facebook page? Is it just Jean Walters?
It's Jean M. Walters #1.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, and then
I want to go.
Yeah, and then I all my stuff is uplifting. That's where I focus my attention. I always believe no matter what's going on, you find there's a way to get through it. There's a way to manage it, and we've all had plenty of challenges in our life. So, I mean, it helps you a lot more to find your way when you recognize that there is a way. I haven't figured it out yet, but I always know that there's that within me. There's that consciousness within me that has the way. If I get quiet enough, I can allow that to come through, and I'll know the way. I'll know who I need to call or how I need to do it or what method is available, and I'll figure it out.
You are available on the internet. A lot of wonderful things are available. I do a daily devotional with the church because you can't. Right now, they're shutting down synagogues like crazy in New York. I don't know what the guy's got against them. I'm a Messianic Jew, so I go to a church. It really doesn't matter, but that's closed down. So the deal is, if you want your daily devotional, it's on the net. Mm-hmm. You don't have to go to Mortal Kombat and kill people. There are other things on the net. I don't think people are paying attention to that.
Well, I think that's what this time period has been about, is about learning how to go in, learning how to be quiet, learning how to develop whatever it is that our philosophy needs to be, and learning how to practice it. It's a lot of change. People are changing, and I think that ultimately we're going to be a much more kind nation, a much more kind world, I should say, because it's not just our nation that's changing, it's everybody. but we've had to almost close everything down for people to become more introspective.
Yeah, it's sad, and I think for me the good part is families get together. Sometimes it's hard. My poor daughter, she was in Maryland, so she had to book a flight and wear a mask for like 14 hours, and she said, I can't breathe by the time she got to San Diego. Oh my God, but you can do it. She came here. We're spending a couple of weeks together. We're doing some stuff. Then she's going to have to put the darn mask on and go back. But we get.
And hopefully she took a great book with her.
I think I would give her your book, but I was going to let Al read it since he found you, sort of.
Oh, that was nice, Al. Thank you for finding me.
Yes, your publicist sent a letter, and then I love Al so much, and I know he's smarter than me, so I just sent him prospects and say, what do you think? And he goes, yeah, let's do this. So I had the book, he had the excerpts. But that's the neat thing. I thought this was so good, and I'm so jaded because I have read a million books.
Yeah.
This is a really good, easy read, and just pay attention to it, and you can change your life. What more can you ask from a book?
Yes. And, I'm so grateful because people are telling me that there are certain things in this book that just resonated so much that they were able to really make changes in their life. And just really makes me happy. That makes me really happy.
The one thing you did, the book got so interesting that there's certain sessions in my rehab where you just sit in front of a light and the light vibrates and it does things to your body. I used to get on there with my iPad and go to Facebook, which is all nasty. Then I said, I like this book. I'm taking the book with me. So I took the book to the rehab with me, and every time I had to sit down, I read the book instead of doing other stuff, and it was very enlightening.
Good.
So you changed things just in the course of reading that book.
Yeah. You know what? You're way too valuable to subject yourself to nasty stuff and negative stuff. You're way too valuable. You really can't do your best work if you allow that to happen. So, we really are responsible. We got to decide where we're going to focus our attention and make it the best possible scenario.
Yeah,
we want to live our best life,
If people, we should make up our own language. Like people will learn Spanish because they want to know Spanish, and people will learn French. But we should make it an empowerment language, not like NLP, that's neuro-linguistic programming. They have some languages.
Yeah.
We should make an entire language and say, learn the language of life, of a fulfilled life, and then change can't to something else, should to something else. Translate into positive instead of negative. We should just
It's all about, does this speak of love would be a good way to find that language.
Yeah.
Yeah, like should can become I get to.
Yeah, I can.
Instead of I should pay my bills, I get to pay my bills.
Well, yeah, you get to pay your bills, and then you get to live in this great house. When you think about it, everything that's going on in your life, unless you're the most underprivileged person on the entire planet, there's always some advantage that you have. So, I get to live in this house. I get to have my husband with me, and right now I get to have my daughter with me. Cool. So, why would I got to get up and figure out where to take her? No, you don't. She's here. I'm here. We love each other. Cool.
Yeah, we get to spend time together. We get to share.
Yeah, I mean,
all good stuff. All good stuff.
People get so nuts about this. My mother, like I said, she was a Jewish officer's wife. We had a housekeeper in Japan, and she used to clean up before the housekeeper came.
Bless her heart. Bless her heart.
Yeah, you don't want her to think we're dirty people. I said, that's why we're a housekeeper.
It's important what the housekeeper thinks about us, right?
Yeah, she moved a table once. My mother had a cow. I mean, I think she had tape on the floor where everything went. I don't think I could live. Well, she didn't live that long. I don't think I could live like that.
Well, but that's the point here. Is that's the kind of stress that kills people. It really is the kind of stress that affects your stomach, your head, your headaches, your sinuses, your everything. I mean, you're that you can't digest. When you're constantly all wound up like that, or what Al says, you're wound around the axle or something like that. When you're like that, I mean, you are affecting your health, and a lot of illness would just go away if we just learn to relax and laugh more and have a good time and enjoy life,
she was determined to die of cancer because everybody in her family had died of some form of cancer. And so she was determined to die of that, and she kept having heart attacks and this and that. Of course, she smoked 4 packs a day. But so all these different things, and she finally, I think, gave herself leukemia, and she did die of cancer. But so she enjoyed poor health her whole life, and I don't understand people like that.
Yeah,
I don't.
yeah. But the thing is, they get attention. They get a lot of attention.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I had a woman in my life like that. She was actually a relative, and if you said, "How you doing?" Like you say, "How you doing?" "Oh, I'm good." She would start into the whole tirade about what's going on, but she loved it because she had people captive, and they were all, "Oh, like, how are you doing today? Oh my God, I know you've been sick." But she loved it, and she would contract every illness there was, and she was always ill, but she loved it, and I think, why would I want to take that from her? If that was her way of being important, and that was her way of standing out, and she didn't think she had anything else, okay, well, there you go. It's not what I would want, but it's what she wanted, so.
Well, yeah, she liked being martyr woman. I like being that woman because I can slip from thing to thing at the time. But there's
always going to be a number of martyr women. There always will be, and we have to accept that. That's okay. I mean, it's you don't have to live it. I'm not going to live it, but
that's kind of the hard part to accept that that's okay. You have to accept everybody with their flaws because you have your own. And sometimes you just want somebody to change so much, and it's not their time. That's really hard to swallow sometimes.
Well, because you have an opinion about it.
Yeah.
And if you give up your opinion about it, then it's okay. If you give up your opinion that there's a better way for them, that they should do it another way, then it's going to bug you. But if you go, that's their way, and that's what they want right now, and if they change sometime, that's great, and if they don't change sometime,
I got to tell you,
because
I don't know if you two, I know Al doesn't watch the politics. I watched the vice presidential debate last night, and the best line that came out of Mr. Pence was, okay, you're entitled to your opinion, but you're not entitled to your own facts.
Oh, my gosh, that is a good line, isn't it?
That's terrific, because she was outright lying about this one thing. I mean, it's
okay.
Itself. But he was so cool about that. You're entitled to your opinion. You're just not entitled to your own facts.
And when you're around people who are cool, like even Al, you're saying is very cool all the time.
Yeah, they're cool.
Don't you feel good around them? I mean, you want to be around people that are calm and collected, and they're not dropping their drama on you.
And if you pay attention, you can feel it. I can feel your vibration from here. It comes through the phone. It comes through the computer. When someone has a high vibration and they are coming from love, you can feel it. You feel good. If somebody doesn't, I quit going to some meetings because I'd walk in the door and the negative would hit me and have to leave.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You
did yourself a favor by doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, there's one restaurant I still won't go in, and I don't know what's wrong with it, but I went to the door and went, and left.
Yeah. Yes.
It's weird.
Yeah.
But, you can feel it, and some people radiate it more than others. I mean, I think Al's vibration is all the way to the moon and back. But I love that, and you learn from that.
Yeah.
Moreover, my first doctor was actually in education, and we had this big argument about that. And the more you're happy and relaxed and enjoy what you're doing, then the more you will learn. If you're scared of the teacher, you don't like the subject, and you don't want to be there, you're not going to learn anything.
Well, that's your sign that you're in the wrong place, too.
So you're giving negative vibes. The teacher could be great, but you're giving negative vibes. You're giving yourself negative vibes. You're set that nothing's going to work, so it is. That's like you tell your body, I'm tired today, so you are.
Exactly.
There's so much.
This is wonderful. I do appreciate, this is wonderful. I do appreciate your the interaction. Dr. Red, I hope everybody got something out of this. That would be nice.
Well, yeah, this is my thing. Seriously, I have a lot of certificates also. I took a bunch of different stuff. And it's just like you said, you have to just calm down, figure out what you think was the most gratifying for you and does the most good for everybody else. And I can be a practitioner, but there's a lot of other practitioners that can do just as well. But I can do this, and I think people listen. I'm going, okay, I enjoy this. people are listening to this, why would I not do this? Why do I want to go do, hands-on stuff when I can just direct people to other great practitioners? So yeah, if you actually calm down and think about what is it in your life that it's like the lady, can't remember her name, that does the household decluttering. If it sparks joy, do it, or keep it. If it doesn't spark joy, make it go away. So
remember, the big thing is you're working on yourself. This life is about you working on yourself. It's not about you working on everybody else. It's about you working on yourself. It's like if we're always working on somebody else and trying to change them, that it's kind of like moving the deck chairs on the Titanic. I mean, we're still going to go down. But if we use these experiences to work on ourselves and find our own way, then we can have tremendous success in life. And what I mean by that is we can have a marvelous life. We can have joy. We can have friendship. We can have abundance. We can have everything. But we're not going to get it by telling other people what they have to do.
This is true. And, it's not that we're saying everybody has to become a metaphysician, because my husband really loves numbers. He has an MBA in finance. That's what he likes to do. He will sit there at a restaurant and do math problems on the napkin. And I go, okay, I call him, I think it's Jethro from the Beverly Hillbillies. He likes to cipher. If he likes that, cool. It makes him happy. He doesn't fidget while we're waiting for dinner. Different strokes for different folks. I wouldn't do a math problem if you gave it to me.
Not your forte. Not your forte. All right.
But as long as we learn to love ourselves and love other people, and don't make fun of him because he's a math freak, don't make fun of me because I'm not.
I know. We need them. We need them. We need math people, and we need creative people. We need all kinds of people. Everybody has a place. So we don't want to put down anybody.
And even if you look at the whole world here, my husband said that we had a problem. It's summer and it's hot, and so we had a problem with ants. And then we didn't in this one room, and there was a spider there, and he got rid of the spider. And then he said, you know what? The ants are in this room now. I should have left the spider. There's always a reason for somebody to be here. They have their thing.
Yeah, exactly,
so
exactly.
That's very Zen. That's more Al's thing. He's more Zen than I am. But, yeah, just say thank you, spider, and let it do its thing.
Yes. Well, Dr. Red, I assume that we're coming to the end of this.
We're not coming to the end. If you, I would like you to tell people where they can find you again. So we have Facebook.com, and that's Jean M. Walters, numeral 1.
That's on Facebook, yeah. And then my email address is Jean, Jean, at spiritualtransformation.com. And then just put book in your email when you send it, or you might just be able to just register your email address. And then I will get those chapters off to you. And I hope you can enjoy and learn something new and just make your life better.
Absolutely. Well, I want to read all the other ones. There's one that really interested me I want to find out about is the 8-step guide to open your intuitive channel and live your highest.
I knew that's the one. That's the one you're going to like. I knew it. That one, I think you'll really enjoy that one.
I'm a detail person. If you give me steps, I'm going to follow them. That's, I think, what some of us need is somebody.
This is what I've been teaching for so long, and this is what I pride myself on, is giving practical steps, because whatever we're trying to learn, if we can learn it from a very practical method, we're going to get there. But, it can't just be theory. It has to be grounded in some sort of action that we take to make it so. So that is what I feel is sort of my forte in being able to do that.
And some of us need that. It's like when my sons were little and I'd say, clean your room, and nothing would happen. Clean your room, nothing would happen. If I went in there and said, okay, first pick up all the clothes, then they pick up all the clothes, and then pick up all the stray papers. If you tell them what clean up a room is step by step, they can clean their room.
Yeah, it's easier. Yeah, it's doable.
Some people can see the big picture, some people can't.
Yeah, so, and then, again, they have other talents, so, we sort of enjoy each other for whatever we have to offer, right?
It's amazing, the talents. And so whenever I would go in a class, I would say, okay, I'm here to teach you this, but I know a lot of you guys out there know stuff that I don't. So we're on even ground right now.
Well, isn't it wonderful, though? Because the truth is I never plan on fixing my car, and I never plan on growing my own vegetables. So I'm very, very grateful that there are people who do those sorts of things,
yes.
you know?
Yes.
And, you know, because I have my skill set, but they have their skill set, and I'm really happy that they have it because I don't want to do all that stuff.
This is true. And self-expression, I got to tell you, I taught a computer class. I said, any way that you can explain to me by the final how, and these were in the old days, how a computer works. So you need to tell me what a monitor does, what a keyboard does. I said, I don't care how you do it. One girl baked a cookie, and it was a giant. There was a giant keyboard and a giant screen on it, and she explained all the parts, and we ate the cookie. I thought that was cool. I mean, who would think of that? So if you let them open their imaginations, they will.
Yeah, and that's a really great way to teach, by the way. I love that. Very good.
I wish they would get a little more. I'm scared about school right now. My son and daughter-in-law are teachers, and they're not doing that. They're not teaching creative thinking anymore. They're not teaching independent thinking. It's scaring me.
Yeah, that's true. I've gone into high school classes and put a challenge on the board and then asked them to find their path to accomplish that challenge. And you know, they look with blank stares. So, you know, critical thinking is really important, and we all have to learn how to do it. So
I mean, it's not multiple choice.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me on. I do appreciate it. I'm going to have to run now, but
and you're welcome to come anytime. I know your time is so limited, so we are blessed to have you. And I have to say that anybody listening to this, enjoy your free therapy session because it makes you feel so good.
Thank you. And I will keep in touch though because this next book is coming out, and I think you're going to enjoy it. I think you're going to want to get a copy of that too, and I'm going to make sure you get it.
Okay, I want to know the 8 steps also. You can see I'm plugging your books here. I want to know the 8 steps. You are available on Amazon, right, before we go?
Yeah, Amazon. Amazon has all the books. There's 5 up there right now. This next one will be, So, I'm having a lot of fun putting all this content in these books because I've been teaching for such a long time. There's just a lot of content I want to get to the world, and the easiest way to get it is through books, and that way, no matter where you are in the world, you have access.
Hey, it's quarantine time. It's quarantine time. Read.
That's practical, right? and I'm pretty practical about it. All right. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it so much, Dr. Red, and
we'll have you back.
And
for sure.
I wish you a wonderful week.
Oh, you too. And you guys, until the next show.
Thank you, Al.
Thank you.
Till the next show, guys. It is okay to flip your wig. It is not okay to lose your mind. So we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.